Welcome back to Royal Family One, the space where truth, dignity and balance matter. Today we're going on a long, detailed, honest journey into a story that's been twisted, weaponized, exaggerated and sensationalized far more than it ever should have been. A story that, when you look at the facts, is actually a sign of responsible leadership, transparency and modern royal conduct. I'm talking about the lease of Forest Lodge, the new home of the Prince and Princess of Wales, a move that should have been celebrated for its professionalism, its fairness and its commitment to doing things the right way. Yet somehow it became the target of endless noise. And as usual, with anything related to the royal family, especially William, Catherine, Harry and Meghan, there are people out there desperate to stir division, desperate to manufacture drama that doesn't exist, desperate to push negativity because that is their business model. But not here, not on this channel, not on Royal Family One. Here we speak with integrity. We lift up those who deserve respect, and we call out nonsense when we see it. So settle in, get comfortable, and let's take this journey together. Because, after today's episode, you'll see the truth behind Forest Lodge, and you'll understand exactly why so many loud voices tried so hard to distort it. Now, let's begin. Forest Lodge is a breathtaking Grade 2 listed mansion tucked away inside Windsor Great Park. It's historic, private and elegant, a place with charm, character and history, the kind of home that should feel like a sanctuary for a future king and his family. But when William and Catherine chose to make it their primary private residence, the tabloids didn't see a family making a thoughtful move. They didn't see responsible adults conducting a clean, transparent property agreement. They didn't see two parents securing a safe, stable home for their children. No, they saw an opportunity to create drama. What they didn't want anyone to understand is the truth. William and Catherine signed a 20-year non-assignable lease beginning on 5 July 2025, and they pay open market rent, meaning the same kind of rent any high-value property in that range would demand for any normal person with the means to lease it. Nothing more, nothing less. It wasn't a gift. It wasn't a royal perk. It wasn't a secret advantage. It was a straightforward, fully documented, completely fair transaction handled by professionals on both sides. The Crown Estate engaged Hamptons and Savills, two of the biggest names in property valuation, to assess the mansion's worth at full market standards. William and Catherine brought in Knight Frank, one of the most respected advisory firms. Both sides had separate lawyers, separate surveyors, separate negotiators. It was done at arm's length, meaning no one interfered, no one influenced, and no one cut corners. This wasn't just fair. It was textbook transparency, which is why it's almost laughable that certain outlets tried to twist it into scandal. But that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? Any time William or Catherine takes a step, even a quiet, sensible, responsible step, someone will try to spin it. And this is where the conversation becomes bigger than Forest Lodge, because the same thing happens with Prince Harry. It happens with Duchess Meghan. It happens with Princess Catherine. It happens with William. The truth is, negativity sells, drama sells, division sells, outrage sells. And there are commentators, YouTubers, tabloids, bloggers, people who make a living attacking these four individuals, twisting every move into something controversial, toxic, or suspicious. But what do the facts actually show? William is steady, prepared, deeply committed to service, and thoughtful in how he manages his role. Catherine is graceful, hard-working, genuine, and adored worldwide. Harry is courageous, outspoken, and devoted to his family and humanitarian work. Meghan is intelligent, compassionate, and resilient in the face of relentless public pressure. They are 4 people who all deserve respect. 4 people who have made different choices for themselves, their careers, and their families. 4 people constantly targeted by critics who need them to be characters, not human beings. And that's why the Forest Lodge story matters. Because it's a perfect example of how simplicity gets twisted into controversy. This wasn't a scandal. It was a responsible property lease. This wasn't a secretive backroom royal favour. It was a clean, market-based agreement. This wasn't a privilege unique to William and Catherine. It was, in fact, the opposite of the peppercorn rent arrangement that fueled the controversy surrounding Andrew Mountbatten Windsor at Royal Lodge. But instead of acknowledging the Wales's integrity, some commentators needed drama, so they invented it. Let's talk about how they twisted it. Some claimed the lease was mysterious, but the terms were openly disclosed to the public. Some claimed it was unfair, but the couple literally paid market rent, independently assessed. Some claimed William and Catherine were receiving special treatment, but both sides used separate legal counsel, separate valuers, and followed strict formal process. Some tried to compare them to Andrew's highly discounted arrangement, but the Wales's situation was actually the correction. The responsible, transparent version of what royal property management should look like. What this story actually shows is leadership. And not just leadership from William and Catherine, but leadership from the Crown estate as well. This is how modern royal property matters should be handled. Clear, audited, independently valued, legally verified, publicly documented. And here's something people don't talk about enough. This move wasn't just about property. It was about stability. William and Catherine have 3 growing children. Each of them faces a different future role, different pressures, and different expectations. The Waleses need a private, safe, stable environment away from London's intensity. Forest Lodge gives them room to breathe, space for their children to grow, security from the public eye, the kind of home where they can simply exist as a family, not as icons. And yet, the moment they did something that any parents in their position would choose, the negativity machine roared to life. But the machine didn't win, because when the truth came out, the facts spoke louder than the noise. Now let's widen the lens, because this whole situation says something broader about the royal landscape today. There is a persistent attempt to portray William and Harry as rivals, as enemies even. And there is a persistent attempt to paint Meghan and Catherine as opposites, constantly compared, constantly pitted against each other. This narrative is designed to divide, to provoke, to stir emotion, to make people choose sides. But the truth is simpler. William and Catherine made choices based on their duties and responsibilities. Harry and Meghan made choices based on their well-being and independence. There is room in the world for both paths. There is no contradiction. There is no competition. Anybody claiming otherwise is manufacturing conflict where none exists. These are real human beings, not characters in a soap opera, not pawns in someone else's YouTube thumbnails, not chess pieces in a tabloid war. And that's why on RoyalFamilyOne we treat them with the dignity they deserve. Not because they're perfect, no one is, but because they deserve fairness, respect, and truth. Forest Lodge is symbolic of a bigger pattern. When William and Catherine do something responsible, it gets twisted. When Harry and Meghan do something independent, it gets twisted. When any of them take a step forward, someone will spin it backward. But we're not here for spin. We're here for balance. We're here to push back against the noise. We're here to protect the narrative from being hijacked by bitterness and speculation. So let's go back to Forest Lodge one more time, because after all the noise, the truth is beautifully simple. A future king and his family secured a long-term private residence. They followed every rule. They paid every cost. They received no special privileges. They adhered to modern standards of transparency. And they did it for the well-being of their children and the stability of their family. That's the truth. That's the story. And that's what matters. Now, as we wrap up this episode, I want to speak directly to you, the RoyalFamilyOne community. You're here because you value truth. You value positivity. You value fairness toward William, Catherine, Harry and Meghan. You're here because you're tired of drama for the sake of views. You're here because you want perspective, not poison. So, if you enjoyed today's deep dive, if you appreciate the honesty, if you want more content that cuts through the noise, then I invite you, from the heart, to support this channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new episode. And if you'd like to directly support the channel's growth, consider leaving a super thanks. Every contribution helps us continue producing long-form, truthful, positive royal coverage you simply don't get anywhere else. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Thank you for being part of a community that values dignity over drama. And thank you for choosing RoyalFamilyOne, where truth matters, respect matters, and the full royal family is treated with the grace they deserve. Until next time, stay well, stay kind, and stay informed.